But here's what I wanted. Here's why I bring up the Patriots. Because, like, obviously, Mac Jones had a great rookie season, made the Pro Bowl. He did the gritty in the Pro Bowl. Like, amazing. I love Mac Jones. Yeah. Draft Dr. Phil, who's a friend of the show, loves Mac Jones. A lot of Bears fans have love for Mac Jones. But at some point, we have to realize Justin Fields is our guy, who is my number one guy, who's the guy that I wanted above anybody. Even, like, I know that Trevor Lawrence was not realistic, but, like, Justin Fields was the guy that I wanted. From your perspective, and again, you're on the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank, a Bears podcast, but listen, don't let this influence your answer. It is. Who would you know? Who would you rather have?
Rank, I know now.
Who would you rather have? Justin Fields, Mac Jones?
I'm going to say this without, I threw that shirt away. I came neutral today. I'm not wearing any shirt. I'm with NFL Network. I don't have any bias to any team. Mac Jones, and I'm not saying that. I know you would assume she covered the Patriots. She was born and raised in the Boston area. Don't be shaking your head over there, Rank. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't have
You can read this body language, I'm sure. No, Study this film of my anger.
But hey, you're getting someone who's honest. We're an honest team. We're an honest squad, right? How do you not only because he's this Alabama guy who everyone loves and he can do the gritty, which he did for 2 seconds, but I still count it as the gritty.
It counts.
It counts. But I mean, he led the quarterback rookies in wins, pass yards, passing touchdowns. Like he completed, I think it was like 67% of his passes this season. And then they go on a 7-game win streak. The problem was the bye week. That daggone bye week. But to Mac Jones's point, here's the thing. You're coming, just keeping perspective here.
Okay.
The season before, you have Cam Newton, who's also, despite him not having the most stellar season and the Patriots missed the playoffs, that's behind Tom Brady and then behind Cam Newton, and you're coming in as a rookie into New England? Do you want to talk? We're brutal out in New England. New England, I mean, the light turns green in a second and we're sitting on our horn. Like we're tough.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So the pressure that Mac Jones had to endure going up into it and then being coached by Bill Belichick, which by the way, I think is a phenomenal combination. And we all know that it is. Those two are like blessed for each other. After Jimmy G, I think it's, Mac Jones, who's the next son of Belichick. But honestly, just not only his character, I remember Matthew Slater saying, and this is coming from Matthew Slater, the veteran, the captain. He doesn't say this lightly, but Mac Jones is in the film room. He's one of the last guys out. And he's also a learner, which is what Belichick needs for that offensive group. I think, he needs more time. He needs more experience, but to be considered a rookie, one of the best rookie candidates in the entire NFL this season, obviously Jamar Chase winning that one, rightfully so. Right. But that's a testament. I'm not trying to knock on Justin Fields.
No. That's the one. No, honestly, it's the one thing that always irritates me about sports arguments is that you can listen. Mac Jones is a good quarterback who I think is going to be great in the NFL. And again, coming into last year's draft, going on the Tape Never Lies network, I was having these conversations of like, if we end up drafting Mac Jones, I am not going to be upset about this. I think he's a good quarterback. I prefer Justin Fields because of his athleticism, his ability to throw the deep ball, because I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Everybody thinks like how fast he is, but it's like, no, that's just an element of his game. It's not his game, so to speak. So I was okay with it. But the argument, whenever you say something like, hey, which guy do you want? Like, me favoring Justin Fields does not mean that Mac Jones is not good. But that's the way sports arguments are. Oh, so Kayla Burton just said that Justin Fields is garbage. Like, that's not what she's saying.
That's going to watch. It's going to be a tweet.
It's going to come from my account. But no, I'm kidding. It's but the thing of it is like both these things can be, true. Like both these quarterbacks can be good. And I hope in the future that it's going to be one of those things where he's like, oh, it's a rivalry. Maybe someday they will match up in the Super Bowl. but I think that you can be happy with your guy. I can be happy with my guy. It's like when I was a kid.
We can be peaceful.
We can be peaceful. Listen, when I was a kid, you know what? And this, you might not have heard of either one of these bands. So you might want to go they're worth a Google when I give you this analogy. But there were kids who were like, that were Pearl Jam and you were Nirvana. You could like both of them, but you favored one over the other. I was a Pearl Jam kid. And so, which is weird now because I love Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters, different element. But you know what I'm saying? That like that's you kind of came into this thing like you're one or the other. Both can be good. Like I didn't hate Nirvana. I didn't think Nirvana was a bad band or anything. But it's like if you're giving me one CD, and this is back in the day, we used to have these silver discs they used to put like right in your
Frank, I know I'm 26 years old, but daggone, I'm not like 4. I'm not 12.
I know.
But I guess to your point, it's like what Drake and Lil Wayne. We could, generationally speaking. Actually, it's probably a bad comparison, but I'm with you. Continue.
No. But I'm saying like a lot of things, like the Super Bowl halftime show. You can like Dre, you can like Snoop. You prefer one or the other. Who would you, if you had to choose one to ride shotgun? One guy gets to ride shotgun. Who is it? Who is it? They're like, but it doesn't mean you don't like that person. Right. Sometimes it does, but in any event. I think that I like both of them. Hopefully for me, and like this is the God's honest truth, I hope that they're both way better than Trey Lance. So we can look back and laugh at the 49ers. Be like, first of all, I'm still upset from the Mitch Trubisky thing. So I've still got a little bit of resentment towards the 49ers. But I really do believe at some point I would love to see them just be like, hey, guys, sorry. You took Trey Lance when you could have had Mac Jones or Justin Fields, as both those guys are dominating. That's my sincere hope. I will take Justin Fields still, even though his rookie season was not as good as Mac Jones. I can admit that.
But he has the weapons. Mac Jones, to your point, I will back you up here. Mac Jones, I think, has more weapons around him. Offensively, defensively, I mean, J.C. Jackson, we don't know what his situation is, and that's going to be really telling for this offseason. But even just the weapons entirely around him, I don't think Justin Fields has enough veteran players, but also guys that really, back him up, so to speak. Whereas Mac Jones, like you're able to take some of the pressure off of him. Like Justin Fields was sprinting in and out of the pocket every other second. It was chaotic, honestly. And you have to, it's more of the offensive group. But here's the problem with I wouldn't say problem, but what everyone's going to be eyeing is who is Mac Jones now with a new offensive coordinator. Josh McDaniels, he's gone. So who's developing him? Because Mac Jones needs that development, even though, and Brian Hoyer, no, I'm not attesting that. I'll leave that there. But
that's fine.
Brian Hoyer still has that he's almost like a second coach to Jones.
100%. We love Brian Hoyer. Listen, nobody's going to say a bad word about Brian Hoyer here. No. So I agree with that.
And I love that. I think there's a reason why he's kept on that team. He needs to be that developmental guy for Jones, but it is going to be interesting to see. Okay. And I think Mac Jones is good enough to blend with any offensive coordinator that comes in, and even Joe Judge returning to the Pats, as their offensive assistant. But it is going to be interesting to see how Mac develops into the second season. But I do think the ceiling is high just based off of his confidence level. You could even see, I remember the first press conference that he had. He was smiling all the time. He was the perfect quarterback that was, answering it's my fault. We got to do better. I got to do better. It's on me. But he has a swag to him. You saw him in the gritty, but even like throughout this season, I think once he started to get going and then they won those 7 straight games before their bye week and taking that brutal loss to the Colts. But I think that he's really developed that confidence that he needed. And now going into this next season, it's going to be pretty solid coming from him.
He really does feel like a quarterback that's going to be able to weather that challenge, coming in from Alabama, having all the success that he's had throughout his career. And really, and it goes back to like when you're talking about Mac Jones and you think about, he came into a stable situation. He had Josh McDaniels there as his offensive coordinator. The Patriots moved quickly to get rid of Cam Newton to make sure that he wasn't a distraction so that people, you're not flip-flopping between the two. They made a commitment to Mac Jones. They went out there. They signed a lot of offensive talent, including Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, the tight end from Tennessee, whose name is, I don't know why I can't think of his name right now, but they went out there and made an investment around him. Compare that to the Chicago Bears, who didn't let Justin Fields take first team reps. They kept Andy Dalton around. They didn't feature Allen Robinson and seemed to scheme him out of the building. And to me, it just is, it's not comparable situations in a way. I do hope that this year with this new organization in Chicago, they put the investment, and it sounds like they're saying all the right things. And we'll see as free agency approaches here in a couple of weeks, like how much when they start putting their money to where their mouth is. So I think that both these guys can be good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.